There's a great story about the Emperor of China. Apparently he was so impressed with the game of chess that he said to the inventor, "Anything in the kingdom, it's yours." The inventor, a seemingly humble man, said, "I only ask for one thing. I ask for 1 grain of rice on the first square, 2 on the second, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth." And the emperor said, I get it. Double every square." He looked at it, he said, "There are only 64. What harm can it be?" Well, the story ends with the emperor taking this fellow's head after the 32nd square. And the reason that is because by the 32nd square, he was entitled to the equivalent of 40 acres of rice. Now, if you would have taken the game out to its logical conclusion, he would have been entitled to 18 million trillion grains of rice. You'd have to cover the earth twice, including the oceans, with rice fields to get that much. Why do I tell you this story? I tell you because in the computer industry, we just passed the 32nd square last year. And what is going to enable us to continue forward is nanotechnology.
The next big thing is really small. Jack Uldrich on nanotechnology.
The United States government is saying nanotechnology will be the basis for $1 trillion within the next decade. And, you know, here in Washington, people tend to throw around numbers all the time, million, billion, and a trillion. And working for Governor Ventura a few years ago, he always said, you know, "Jack, once you start talking about more than $20,000, most people don't get what you're talking about." Let me just give you a little analogy to put $1 trillion in perspective. 1 million seconds ago was 12 days ago. 1 billion seconds ago was 30 years ago. 1 trillion seconds ago puts us back to the year 30,000 BC. It's a big number, and this is actually a conservative estimate on behalf of the government. Their more optimistic projection is $2.2 trillion. The second number, 2 million. That's the number of workers the government is estimating we will need trained in nanotechnology within the next decade. There are a couple of other numbers that I didn't put up, but I think that are important. First is 0. That's the number of nanotechnology patents that there were 10 years ago. 2001, there were 800. Just last year, there were 2,600. If you map that out on a curve, we're on an exponential increase upwards.
Jack Uldrich. The next big thing is really small. Jack Uldrich is president of the Nano Veritas Group, a consultancy that helps businesses, venture capitalists, and governments understand, evaluate, prepare for, and profit from nanotechnology. He is the leading voice in nanotechnology today.
November 9th, 1989. It's the day the Berlin Wall fell. Very historic day. Yet, if you go to the newspapers that day, page A10, there's a little paragraph story, and it says that 2 researchers at IBM, for the first time, purposely manipulated atoms to create something new. In 1913, Lee DeForest, the president of RCA, was prosecuted by government bureaucrats for mail fraud. And the reason he was being prosecuted is because they found his claim. He claimed to potential investors that he was going to be able to transmit the human voice over the Atlantic in a couple of years. Well, to people at the time, that sounded absolutely outrageous, and they wanted to put this guy in jail. The reason I start with that story is because today, there are people in the medical profession who understand where nanotechnology is going and are saying this, that we're going to be able to not only slow the aging process, we can potentially reverse the aging process. Now think about that. I mean, that is absolutely mind-boggling. Now that's a long-term application of nanotechnology in the healthcare arena. But I don't want anyone leaving thinking that those things are far away. There are some real things happening today. There's a company up in Massachusetts called Angstrom Medical that is using nanoparticles that can be injected in broken bones to heal it literally within days.